All right, I am so excited for this portion of the class where I get to demonstrate the makeup. I want you to see exactly firsthand through this video how simple and easy and flattering this makeup can be. I'm going to be working out of a palette 12 is what this is called. Where you are going to see right here all my makeup in one place. So these are the colors that make up this 3D foundation. First, we have our main highlight color. And remember, this is your whole foundation. All of these colors create your foundation. And so it just blends together beautifully to create that 3D look. So first we have this highlight color that's kind of closest to my main skin tone. Then I have a brightener color. I'll be recommending a second brightener color for everyone because you'll see exactly why that's so magical in just a bit. Your contour color, which is a cooler shade to mimic shadows and give some dimension to your face. And then I always love having a couple of lip and cheek options. That way you have different ones that you can use, and you can also mix and match. I'm going to show you how I like to combine those two. And then a bronzer. When you fill out the color match form, just a little survey where you share with me what you are looking for in a makeup routine, I'll ask you what you're looking for. And so many people here want to have a bronzer to get that little bit of a sun-kissed look. So that one is one of my favorites here, the Bella bronzer. We do have some other options that we could play with. And then on the second level here, we have our eyeshadows, and then I have my illuminator there. That's gonna be the cherry on top, that little candlelit glow that's just gonna really take your makeup just like the finishing touch. But all of my makeup is right there in one single palette. Like I can take this on trips. I can just do everything that I need with one palette here. And there's room to grow. Like you can add some eyeshadows there. You can add some more lip and cheek colors, and there's different compact options for sure. Okay, so let's get started. The brushes that I'm gonna be using here are these two. If you can get started with two brushes, this is such a fun combination. I love this one because you want to get this one for the bronzer. If you get the bronzer, you definitely need to get this brush. There's actually a bundle where you get $10 off when you combine the two. So you definitely want to have this one if you're getting the bronzer, and then this one, if you can only get one brush, this is usually what I recommend. But reach out to me and I'll help you find just the right brush for what you're looking for, okay? So this is the detail brush, and that's what we're going to get started with. Now, my face has been prepped just with good skincare. We'll talk a little bit more about skincare through the class. And then now I'm going to take a little bit of my setting spray and just spritz a little bit on my fingers. It's loose because it's just a spray, and I'll do just a light tap of that all over my face. That's just going to help with the longevity of the makeup. I'm just going to sandwich the makeup in between that setting spray. So I'll do a little bit underneath, I'll put on my makeup, and then I'll spritz on top, okay? All right, so let's get started. So the way that I teach this makeup is to just start with a little bit of that main highlight color here, and I'm just gonna use this brush, the bigger side here, just gonna tap in, and you want to be sure that you're doing a really light coat. Now, ladies, I've color matched hundreds of women, hundreds and hundreds, even in person. And whenever they try the makeup, the number one comment I get is, I can't believe how light it feels on my skin. Like it doesn't feel like I'm wearing makeup. If you get this makeup and you put it on and you feel it on your skin, it's feeling thick or cakey or heavy, that means you're putting too much product on. So many women are just used to other makeup lines and they just put way too much on. I'm just very, very lightly tapping into my brush and just kind of creating a really light layer there that's just evening out my skin tone. I am just working on hiding those distracting elements. When I think about makeup, I think of makeup having two purposes. One is to eliminate distractions. We want people looking at our eyes, listening to us, not like being drawn to a sunspot that's sitting there or a blemish or whatever. So makeup eliminates distractions or minimizes it the best that we can. And then it also works to celebrate our natural features, okay? So I did a really light coat, but as you can see, I have a little bit more that I wanna create a little more coverage with. And so I'm just gonna add a touch more only in those areas that I need it. And that's gonna keep my makeup really, really light on my skin. And as I help you find your colors, I'm gonna help you learn how to apply this. And if we need to make a little bit of adjustment with colors, we can totally do that. I will take care of you, okay? All right, so that's what traditional foundation usually does, just kind of even everything out. Definitely don't have any of those distractions going on, but it's not doing me any favors. So what we're gonna do is add the rest of the foundation colors to really create that 3D look, okay? So next I'm gonna move on to the contour color here, and I'm gonna keep using this brush where it's kind of this oval shape, and I really love that because then I can create just some nice angles with my contour. Okay, so I'm gonna start by teaching you that contour doesn't have to be scary. You only have to remember 4 places, okay? And the best part is the first 3 create the look of a number 3, okay? Because we have 1 on top of our forehead, 2 underneath our cheekbones, and 3 underneath the jawline. And that creates, as we bring it together, a number 3 on the side of our face, okay? So when you start with the contour, I'm gonna start right here in the top of my forehead. I'm gonna keep that nice and high. I do have a fairly high forehead, but I only come about 1/3 of the way. And if you have a shorter forehead, like your hairline comes down a little bit more, you might just do the sides. So it just depends on your face shape, and I can walk you through that. I can help you find the most flattering way. Okay, so I'm gonna keep that nice and high by my hairline, and then just start coming down the sides here. I do add a little bit more just right here. I wanna see that just coming all the way down to my cheekbones there, okay? And then I'm gonna take this brush, and as I'm dipping, I'm just gonna tilt it a little bit to the side in the color, so I get a little bit more product on one side of the brush here, okay? And see how I've got it tilted? I love having that little bit of an angle there so that I can just kind of hug underneath my cheekbone right there, all right? We're just creating that shadow, adding some nice dimension there, and I go from the line that I follow really is from the tippy top of my ear down to the corner of my mouth. Do you see how I've followed that line? But I don't come much further forward than like the corner of my eye, okay? I don't wanna come near my smile lines, and if I feel like I've gotten too close to the front, I'll just kind of erase it by blending it out, okay? I do wanna see it when I'm looking straight on, but I don't want it to come near my smile lines or mimicking a mustache or anything like that. So I'll keep it back there, okay? And then you can see I love blending upward, okay? Don't put that contour in the hollows of your cheeks. Not right there. Do you see how low that would be? That's gonna shift the appearance of your face down. We wanna lift. Gravity works enough against us. We need to have that lift there, okay? So you can see how adding that shadow there has just created some good dimension to my face, all right? So I'm gonna come on this side, just kind of hug. Again, my brush is kind of angled, so I'm hitting the bottom side of that brush more than anything, okay? And I'm blending upward, come around here, blend upward, just some really light, soft taps, okay? Just making sure it's kind of even there, okay? And then I'm gonna take a little bit underneath my jawline. You can see my brush is literally upside down, and I'm coming where that natural shadow already is. You don't wanna come on top or forget to blend out, otherwise it's just gonna be a little obvious what you're doing there, okay? So come across and then blend down. Just like that, okay? I'll just kind of come up and round out that number 3. Don't forget about that number 3. It just makes it so much easier to remember, okay? All right, so I have everything on the contoured on the outside of my face. Now it's time for the center of my face here. So again, this is why I love this contour. I wanna do just the edge here, and so I really am gonna dip at an angle here so that I only get product on the edge of that brush, okay? And I tap into my contour there, get a little bit there, and here's how we do the nose contour, okay? So the first 3 are right there, and the 4th one is our nose contour, and this brush makes it super, super easy because, like I said, it's kind of in the shape of a oval. It's got that line, and look, it's almost the same length as my nose, so I can create a really quick, easy, straight line for my nose contour, okay? And we wanna do the sides of the top, is how I like to describe it. We don't wanna come down the sides of the nose, that's gonna widen our nose, and we wanna keep the line nice and thin. So I load it on the side, bring that right here, and I hold it perpendicular to my face. Okay, I don't have it like forward or angled anyway. I just go straight up and down, and then I'm also making sure that I'm not, you know, going outward and creating kind of a pumpkin look there. I want to just come straight down, okay? And it's almost just like a little stamp and a drag on either side of the nose, okay? Just like that. And then I'm going to take this smaller side of the brush and I'm going to blend up here into my brow, and I'm just going to drag that around here and down across the bottom here. Okay, so I'm just using that to blend out that contour. I'm going to take what's left over on my brush and just add a little bit underneath my lips. I also can just, you know, kind of get rid of the rest on my neck, okay, because I felt like it was getting a little too much there. That's just going to create a little bit of contour under that lips to create a little bit more of a pout for the lips, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that one under the lips is the bonus one if you want to add that. Okay, now that I have a brush that doesn't have a ton of product on, I can now just tap to the center like this. Do you see how I'm blending to the center? That's going to keep that line thin, but then also just blend it out so that there's no harsh lines, okay? All of this we want to be transitioning from light to dark just kind of seamlessly, okay? All right, so we're making some good progress here on this contour. We've got the sides, under the jawline, the nose. Now here's where I'm gonna show you this brightener color that's really gonna take it to the next level, okay? So I'm gonna use the small side of this brush. I'm still using this particular brush, and where we're going to place this brighter color is strategically 3 triangles, okay? So in between your brows, we are going to come down the center of the nose, and then I'm going to do this triangle underneath my eyes. But because I want to have as little product as is possible underneath my eyes, now if you have any kind of majorly distracting colors in there, like hyperpigmentation or blues or purples, we can talk about that. But if you don't have that, then we want to keep that, for sure, keep that product super minimal right there. So I am going to fill this full triangle, but where you place your brush first is where you're going to have the most products. So I'm coming at the bottom of the triangle, and then I'm coming up here to the top of the triangle and kind of dragging it outward for a little bit of a lift there. So I'm just going to place some product there to kind of warm up on my skin, and then I'm going to take a little bit right here and just blend upward like that, okay? And then I'm going to come, let that warm up on my skin, and then I'm going to come in between the brows and fan up here. Okay, then I'll take just my finger, but I do want to turn it a little bit to the side so that it's not, so it stays a little thinner, and just come right down the center of the nose. I'll wipe off what's left over on my chin, and I'll go ahead and blend that out. I just want a little bit on my chin. I'll also use what's left over on my brush to brighten up my smile lines, any extra redness that might be around the nose there, okay? Now I'm gonna flip over my brush, and I'm just gonna blend this whole triangle area out. Okay, so that gives me that little pop, but I'm using minimal product here. Okay, I take a minimal product approach. We want to get away with as little product as is possible. It's just gonna make you look so much better in your like looking very natural. Okay, all right, and I'm adding just a touch more on a couple areas that I just need a touch more coverage on. That's like a little bit of a pregnancy mask that's always been left over. Okay. All right, we've got some great dimension here. Now let's go ahead and add a little bit of lip and cheek here. It's called lip and cheek because you can use it on your lips as well as your cheeks. And here's the fun part. You can actually use some of these colors on your eyes as an eyeshadow, and I'll show you that today. So I like to use my finger for this one. So I'm taking a very popular color called Nude. I think at least half the girls I work with use this color Nude. It's such a great color. So there's Nude on its own, but just like I'm doing a 3D look with my foundation, my face, I want to do a 3D look with my lips. So that's when another color comes in. So I like to pair it with Frenchie. Do you see how that's a lot more peachy and a lot lighter? So I just take a little bit of that in the center of my lips. I'm not going to cover the whole thing, just the center. And then I'm going to go ahead and tap that out to kind of blend it. All right, and then here's what I do. It creates kind of an ombre effect. I take what's left over on my finger for my blush, okay? So let me talk to you about blush placement. We have this beautiful triangle of light that we just created under our eyes. We've got the contour underneath our cheeks, and the blush is gonna come right in between that. Now, when you smile, you probably have heard, like, put the blush on the apples of your cheeks. I'm gonna say that's where we're gonna start, but then we're gonna come backwards in more of a linear line, angular linear line, that's just hugging the contour, okay? That's gonna keep your face looking nice and thin. If you do a big circle here, it's gonna give you more of a rounded cheek look. Now, if you like that look, that's just fine, but I like mine a little bit more angular. Then I'm gonna take my brush and just kind of smash and marry it with the contour, okay? It should just look like the contour is blushing. Pun intended there. Okay, so there is that beautiful little kiss of color. Now, I never used blush before this makeup. So if you're a little afraid of blush, remember two things. One, this makeup blends out beautifully. Two, I can recommend some really neutral colors that aren't gonna be like too poppy. And three, it's all about the placement. If you just keep it nice and thin right above that contour, like when you look at me, you don't say like, oh, she's got blush. Like it's just a tiny little kiss, okay? So don't be afraid of blush either. Don't be afraid of contour and blush. Like all of these are coming together so beautifully. All right, the last part of the foundation we're gonna do is the illuminator. This, the rest of the makeup world calls it a highlighter, not to be confused with the highlight that we use. That was our main color. This is a illuminator. I love that name because to illuminate is to like show light, right? So we're gonna take this on the high points of our cheeks. I use a color called rose gold that is really beautiful and delicate. Come on the high points of your brow bone, okay? And it catches the light more than anything, okay? But it's just gonna create that really beautiful, when you turn your face, it just catches that light. That's so, so pretty. Okay, and then I love taking it down the center of my face. So I come in the curve of my nose, right there. And then I come on the tip of my nose. And again, I turn my finger just a little to the side so it's not as wide. And then my favorite is my Cupid's bow. Because again, makeup is about celebrating those natural features that you have. So when I put on my illuminator, you can just see that shape of my lips, and I really love that. I get to celebrate that every time I put on my makeup. Okay, and just a little bit on the bottom part of my lip, and just come back and tap it out to blend it. Okay, look at that. Isn't that so fun? I love the way it still looks like me. Like I still have that dimension, and it just is so fun, okay? To blend it all out, we're gonna use the Perfector blending sponge. I highly recommend this, especially when you're starting out. It's called the Perfector, and that's exactly what it does, is perfect your makeup. So you wanna be using it damp, okay? So what I did was went under the sink water and just like got it fully wet to the core. It takes a few seconds, and it should almost double in size. And then I squeeze out all the excess as much as I can, and then I get a clean towel or a washcloth or a napkin, paper towel, something that's clean, and I squeeze it yet again so that it is just barely damp, okay? And then I'm gonna come and I'm just gonna really lightly tap all over my face. So this is gonna settle any lines that I may not have blended very well. It's gonna press the makeup into my skin. It's just gonna make it look so much better. Like I said, it's called a Perfector. It's exactly what it does, okay? All right, now that I have that all set, I'm gonna go ahead and set my makeup with the setting spray. Now, when you get your setting spray, don't be timid about it, okay? Press down nice and confidently, otherwise it might spit at you a little bit, okay? So nice and confident. And it smells like an island paradise. I love it so much. Okay, and I'll just let that dry and do its thing and set my makeup, okay? And while I am waiting for that, I'll do my eyes, okay? So I went ahead and I already did the brow wax. We do have a brow wax that's fabulous. I already put that on just for the sake of time. Now I'm gonna grab a little bit of my brow filler. I have this brush called the line brush, and I'm just gonna add a touch on my wing and a little bit on the underside of my brow And depending on your needs, I can help you find just your favorite way to fill your brows that makes it just look fabulous. I really go for a manicured look rather than a bold look. Just kind of filling in the empty spaces and making it look nice and crisp and clean, okay? Now, remember how I told you that you can multi-purpose colors? Remember this pretty color nude? That was my lip and cheek color. Guess what? We can use it as an eyeshadow as well. So I'm gonna come back to my detail brush, grab that smaller side of the brush, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of that pretty pink on my eyes. Now we can add eyeshadows to your palette, but if you're in a pinch or you want to just start small with a, you know, just your foundation colors, you can always use your blush or your contour as a quick eyeshadow, okay? And I always like to take just a tiny bit underneath the eyes. But isn't that pretty? And this pink works so well with blue eyes, with brown eyes. It's so pretty. You definitely want to give that a try, okay? Not every single blush color will translate to an eyeshadow, but if you want to do that, let me know and I'll be sure to recommend one that will, okay? Nude definitely will. Sandstone is another one that's really pretty on the eyes, okay? And then, like I have here on this bottom level, I already used this one to fill my brows. These are some options for eyeshadows. I'll be sharing some eyeshadow tutorials a little bit later on, but I'm gonna take this really simple color called Peppa. It's a really subtle shimmer. It's one of my favorites. And I'm just gonna set that eyeshadow, okay? So really, if you do this with your blush color and then just take a little bit of a eyeshadow to set it, like a little soft shimmer, it's gonna take you like a minute longer to do your eyes, and then you just feel a little bit more put together, okay? All right, 2 more quick things and then we're all wrapped up for this makeup demo. The very first thing I'm gonna show you is the bronzer. Like I said, a lot of women want the bronzer. We like to feel a little more sun-kissed. I love it in the wintertime when I'm like feeling a little bit depressed and I just want a little bit of sun. And I love it in the summertime because I can have that beautiful glowy bronzed look without, you know, all the damage that being out in the sun would create. Okay, so I take the fluffy side, the fluffiest side of this brush, dip into the bronzer. Now when you first get it, it might be a little soft, so just barely touch, okay? But don't be afraid if you get too much. You can always just blend it out. Just start really soft and then build, okay? See how it's warming up there? And then I'm gonna come right here on the top of my cheekbones. It's like wherever the sun would naturally kiss your face if you were to get a sunburn. Usually it's on top of your forehead, on top of your cheeks. You can do your nose if you want. I personally don't do that, but you totally can. And I'm just coming right here on the high points of my cheeks, right there. It just kind of warms me up really beautifully. Okay, now here's where I really, really love it. Has anybody noticed that I'm a lot lighter down here? If I were to match my face to my chest and neck, I would look very washed out. I like to look a lot tanner than that. So I use this bronzer to create a connection, like to create cohesiveness. So I just tap into that and just blend it out. And I can even come, depending on like how low my shirt is. Today my shirt is fairly low. So I'll bring that all the way down here and just warm that all up. It's like an instant suntan. That just makes me feel so much more put together. See, isn't that nice? Now I am all connected. It matches now. So that's what's lovely about the bronzer is you can use it to warm up your neck as well and give you just kind of that sun-kissed look. Okay, that is all of it. That is my full palette in one place with just a handful of brushes, the perfector and the setting spray. Oh, I had one more quick thing, sorry. Let me show you the pressed powder. Now, if you the makeup is meant to be dewy. See how it looks nice and glowy and fresh? I really love that. But if you need a little bit of mattifying, you can take your perfector sponge. This is the side that I blend with. And I'm gonna take the other side, grab a little bit of that pressed powder, just a little tiny touch. And I would set just underneath the eyes and in the T-zone only, okay? I mean, you can set your whole face, but it kind of defeats the purpose of having that dewy, glowy, youthful, fresh look, okay? So I just do in my T-zone and underneath my eyes, and that kind of balances it out a little bit, okay? All right, so that is the fun little combination of having a dewy look, but also still feeling a little matte in certain areas. Okay, so if you're interested in trying this makeup, here's what to do next. I will be sharing a little link where you can fill out a color match form. And that's going to help me know exactly what you're looking for so that you have a perfectly customized compact. You're not going to buy any colors that you don't need or don't want. Like, it's going to be just customized perfectly to you. And so that color match form helps me know what you're looking for in a makeup routine. And I'll reach out to you and we'll connect, and I'll teach you how to use the makeup. I'll troubleshoot with you, and you always will have my beauty group as a resource for additional tutorials and just help with just lifelong help with your makeup. It's so wonderful. Thank you so much for being a part of this class. Well, I will be sharing a little bit more information, but I'm really looking forward to getting to know all of you in the future. Thanks so much for watching. See you later.